Hey, what is going on, guys? Now, before I begin, I just wanted to say if you haven't seen the first part of my canceled Sonic games videos, you can check it out right here. Just click on this link and it'll take you right to it. It's a good follow-up to this video, just so you kind of know what's going on. Now, to continue with the Sonic team that we have going on here, in this video I'll be discussing a few canceled Sonic games that kind of impacted one another in some type of way. And so in today's video, I'll be discussing Sonic Mars, Sonic Saturn, and Sonic X-treme. Now let's begin with talking about Sonic Mars. Sonic Mars was a concept in development for the Sega 32X, which was later reworked into another Sonic title altogether, but I'll get to that a little later on. In its earliest conception, this game was set to be released on the Sega Genesis, and later it was turned to the Sega 32X under the name Sonic Mars, based on the codename of the 32X, which was the Sega Mars. Now, Sonic Mars was heavily influenced by the Sonic Saturday morning cartoons. It was to include 3 playable characters, Sally, Bunny, and Antoine, as well as Tiara, who would later be introduced in other games. Sonic Mars was going to be the first 3D polygonal Sonic game. The Sonic cartoon theme was later dropped due to disinterest from the development team. The plot of Sonic Mars was as follows. Sonic was away responding to an alarm that was set off at the Great Forest. His friends then discovered a message from one of the Robotnik supercomputers. It is then discovered that Robotnik is attempting to take over a computer virtual reality world called Micro Morbius. The message they found was a call for help from this world's inhabitants. Sonic returns to the knothole to discover that Robotnik has captured his friends and taken them into the VR world. Sonic attempts to save his friends and ruin Robotnik's plans to reformat the Micro Morbius. Thankfully enough, the opening sequence for this game has been leaked in the past couple of years, and it shows Sonic looking into the virtual reality world that is in danger. And I gotta say, the graphics look just awful. But I mean, it was the early 90s, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Now, interestingly enough, the script of Sonic Mars was leaked, and the writer of the script was video game producer and graphic artist Michael Kosaka. It's very extensive and shows what the title screen would have looked like, along with level layouts, character concept arts, and a bit of the story. If anyone is interested in seeing this themselves, I'll have the link available in the description below. Now sadly, Sonic Mars was cancelled due to a combination of add-on limitation and 32X's failure in the market. Now let's talk about another title which has a few connections to Sonic Mars, called Sonic Saturn. Sonic Saturn was another project that was in development in 1995 and 1996 by Sega Technical Institute, STI. This prototype was created by Peter Morowig, the coder of Sonic 2 Special Stages, with an interesting 3D engine that was more realistic than the others. It seemed that the Sonic creator Yuji Naka did not like this prototype, and so the Sonic Saturn engine was never used to develop a full Sonic game. STI tried to use the engine to create some bonus stages to add in the Saturn version of Sonic 3D, but for the lack of time they abandoned them in favor for a 3D version of Sonic 2 Special Stage. The bonus rounds of Sonic Saturn were going to be a game of pool. After the cancellation of Sonic Saturn, the pool game was being considered to be included as a bonus round in the Saturn version of Sonic 3D. And due to time constraints, this too was abandoned in favor of a 3D version of Sonic 2 Special Stage. Now, the concept of the pool minigame was Sonic would stand behind the ball, use his spin dash and aim his direction to smash into them. The camera would then switch to an overhead view and show the resulting action as he smashes into the other balls. The goal was to knock all the balls into a portal within a certain time limit. It was possible to push the balls, but it would be slower than spinning into them. Later stages would have enemies walking around damaging Sonic if he touched them. Other arenas were also being developed to be added to this minigame. Now, other than a few images and the images of the title screen of the pool game, not much else is known of Sonic Saturn. Now, Sonic Saturn was never actually announced publicly that it was in production, but it didn't really matter because it didn't get very far into production anyways. Now let's move on to the last game, Sonic X-treme. So how are these 3 games connected? Well, concepts of Sonic Mars were used to make Sonic X-treme, and Sonic Saturn was being developed during the same time Sonic X-treme began its development. until Sonic Saturn was ultimately scrapped and the ideas from that title were used in Sonic X-treme as well. So you see, both Mars and Saturn were used to assist in making Sonic X-treme. The game was meant to be a competitor against Super Mario 64 and Crash Bandicoot. Now, borrowing from Sonic Mars' concept, Sonic X-treme was to be based on the Sonic Saturday morning cartoon. The main storyline used in promotion of the final game and magazine involved a Professor Gazebo Babowski and his daughter Tiara. The two were the guardians of the 6 magical rings of the Order, as well as the ancient art of ringsmithing. Gazebo and Tiara feared that Dr. Robotnik was after the 6 rings of the Order, and called on Sonic to get the rings before Dr. Robotnik could. A variety of moves were added to the characters, such as a ring toss move for Sonic, which was left out of the game completely. Now, the story behind Sonic X-treme is a very confusing one. Sonic X-treme began production after the completion of Sonic & Knuckles in 1994. The game began as a Sega Genesis game, but was later moved to the 32X, and was to use the 32X to its fullest potential. After deciding to change the game from an isometric game to a full 3D game, it became apparent that the 32X will not be capable of withstanding those types of graphics. It was at this time that the game was halted so that it may be released with the Sega Saturn. Sonic X-treme was initially being developed by 2 separate teams, one led by Chris Sen and Ofer Allen, and the other team led by Roger Morgan and Chris Coffin. The team of Sen and Allen consisted of implementing a fixed camera side-scroller with the ability to move freely with a fisheye camera system called Reflex Lens. In March of 1996, Sega of Japan representative, including CEO Hayao Nakayama, visited STI headquarters to evaluate the game's progress. They were very unimpressed by the main game's engine performance on the Saturn, although Sen and Allen did not have an opportunity to demonstrate the PC version. The CEO then requested the entire game be reworked around the boss engine from the second team. The developers at STI were then pushed to their fullest potential in order to finish the game on time, working for up to 18 hours a day. STI developers then suggested borrowing Sonic Team's Nights into Dreams game engine to finish the game on time, but Yuji Naka threatened to leave Sega if it was used, so that idea was scrapped completely. A playable demo of this game was displayed at May 1996's E3. Afterwards, the development team of Sen and Allen then began to fall apart. They continued their progress on the PC port of the game, attempting to impress Sega's PC division. They, however, were not impressed, and it led to Allen leaving Sega. By August of 1996, Chris Sen became very ill and was told he had only 6 months to live. Thankfully, he overcame his illness but came down with a severe case of pneumonia. This left the team crippled with no lead developer. These events led to Sonic X-treme's delay and was eventually cancelled in early 1997. Now, all hope was not lost. In 2006, a copy of a very early test engine was sold at an auction to an anonymous collector who bought it for $2,500. Some dedicated fans at SonicRetro.com managed to acquire the source code of the original demo and have it polished up to a playable build that you can download today. The link will be in the description below. And that is it for part 2 of cancelled Sonic games. Stay tuned for part 3. But in the meantime, why don't you check out some of my other videos if you'd like, and swing on over to BitCultures for other video gaming content. I'll see you all next time.